Great band. Love the music.
Yeah, come on. You look fantastic.
The spotlight burns bright. A sea of cameras flashes. And there she stands, Jessica Chastain, eyes glistening, breath trembling, as the world rises to its feet. The woman once told she was too soft, too serious, too strange, now holds an Oscar in her hand. But behind that smile is a lifetime of quiet storms, a childhood marked by struggle, a heart shattered by loss, and an artist forged not in fame, but in fire. Jessica's story is not one of overnight success. It's a story of rejection after rejection, of a woman who dared to build her own place in an industry that didn't want to make room for her. From The Help to Zero Dark 30, from the shadows of anonymity to the summit of Hollywood, she's rewritten what power looks like, not loud but graceful, not ruthless but resilient. This is not just a story about fame. It's a story about faith, in art, in purpose, and in oneself. This is Jessica Chastain, the woman who turned every no into a masterpiece. Before the red carpets and golden statues, there was Sacramento, a quiet, California city where a young girl with fiery red hair dreamed of being someone the world could finally see. Jessica Michelle Chastain was born in 1977 to a single mother, a hard-working woman who struggled to make ends meet. Her father, a musician, was absent. The home was filled not with luxury, but with resilience, a place where survival meant strength, and love meant sacrifice. Jessica often says she was raised by women, strong, determined, flawed, and endlessly giving. But it was her grandmother, Marilyn, who became her guiding light. Marilyn took her to see her first stage play, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. The young girl sat in the dark, transfixed. It wasn't just the music or the costumes, it was the transformation. On that stage, ordinary people became extraordinary. And in that moment, Jessica knew, that's what I want to do. I want to live 1,000 lives. School, however, wasn't easy. She felt out of place, a dreamer in a world that didn't understand dreamers. Her grades slipped, and she often skipped classes, retreating into books and imagination. Acting became her refuge, the one place she felt seen. Then tragedy struck. Her younger sister, Juliet, took her own life. The pain was unbearable, a loss that would echo through every role Jessica ever played. But instead of letting it destroy her, she carried Juliet's memory like a compass, guiding her toward empathy, depth, and truth. Those early years didn't make Jessica bitter. They made her brave. From a fractured childhood rose a woman who would one day stand before millions, not as a product of privilege, but as proof that even from the smallest beginnings, greatness can bloom. When most young actors move to Los Angeles, they chase the light. Jessica Chastain walked straight into the shadows, the auditions, the waiting rooms, the endless rejections. Casting directors couldn't quite place her. Too classical, too serious, too different. She didn't look like the Hollywood prototype, and that, for a time, was her curse. But before Hollywood, there was Juilliard, the sacred ground of American theater. Out of thousands, Jessica won a scholarship funded by none other than Robin Williams. Inside those hallowed halls, she learned to dissect emotion, to find the heartbeat beneath every word. Her teachers described her as fearless, a student who lived inside her characters, not outside them. Still, after graduation, the world did not open its doors. She appeared in guest roles on TV, ER, Law and Order, Veronica Mars. She performed in small theater productions, clinging to the belief that the right role would come, even if no one was watching. Then fate intervened, in the form of a legend. Al Pacino saw her perform in a small play and was mesmerized. "She reminds me of the greats," he said. He cast her in his film Wild Salome. It wasn't a blockbuster, but it was validation. Someone finally saw her. That single opportunity rippled across the industry. Soon after, director Terrence Malick took notice and invited her to star opposite Brad Pitt in The Tree of Life. Jessica's quiet intensity, her ability to express pain and peace in a single glance, stunned audiences. Critics called her performance ethereal, transcendent, a revelation. After years of invisibility, Jessica Chastain had arrived, not through luck, but through persistence, study, and an unbreakable belief in her craft. For the first time, the world wasn't asking, "Who is she?" It was whispering, "We'll never forget her." 2011, a year that would change everything. In just 12 months, Jessica Chastain went from unknown actress to one of the most acclaimed performers on the planet. She appeared in The Tree of Life, The Help, Take Shelter, Coriolanus, The Debt, and Texas Killing Fields. 6 films, 6 worlds, 6 versions of herself. It was as if the world suddenly realized it had been sleeping on a once-in-a-generation talent. In The Help, she transformed into Celia Foote, the lonely, misunderstood housewife with a heart too big for the world. Her performance radiated warmth, humor, and heartbreak, earning her first Oscar nomination. In Take Shelter, she embodied love and fear with the precision of someone who had lived both deeply. Critics marveled, "She doesn't act, she feels." Then came Zero Dark 30. As Maya, the CIA operative who hunted Osama bin Laden, Jessica displayed an intensity rarely seen on screen. Controlled fury, moral conflict, quiet obsession. It was a portrait of modern strength. Intelligence sharpened by pain. Determination shaped by doubt. The performance earned her a Golden Globe and another Academy Award nomination. Suddenly, Jessica wasn't just a rising star. She was the face of a new era in acting. She refused to be typecast, shifting seamlessly from period dramas to psychological thrillers, from tenderness to steel. Her secret? Depth. Every role carried the same question she asked herself. What does it mean to be human when the world expects perfection? Directors sought her, critics adored her, and audiences found in her a mirror. Someone who made vulnerability look like power. Hollywood called her the thinking woman's movie star. But Jessica wasn't trying to be an icon. She was simply telling the truth, one character at a time. By the time the decade closed, she had become a symbol, not of fame, but of fearless authenticity. From obscurity to Oscar stages, Jessica Chastain had proven that talent, when paired with tenacity, can turn even the quietest voice into a roar heard across the world. For a moment, it seemed like Jessica Chastain could do no wrong. Every performance glowed with precision and grace. Every red carpet appearance radiated quiet strength. But Hollywood is a fickle kingdom. It crowns you one day and questions your worth the next. As Jessica's fame grew, so did her voice. She spoke out about equal pay, about the lack of representation for women and minorities, about the silence surrounding abuse in the industry. Her words weren't loud, but they were unflinchingly honest. And honesty in Hollywood can be dangerous. Some studios began to pull back. Directors called her difficult, too political, too serious. Behind the glittering image was a woman being slowly sidelined by the system she had fought so hard to be part of. Then came a string of box office disappointments. The Huntsman, Winter's War, Miss Sloane, Dark Phoenix. Critics whispered that her star was fading, that she had lost her touch. But what they didn't see was the weight she carried, the pressure to stay silent, the expectation to smile through hypocrisy. Jessica refused. She once said, "If being professional means keeping quiet when something is wrong, then I'd rather not be professional." And so she stood her ground, alone if she had to. Her career slowed, the spotlight dimmed, but her conviction never wavered. In an industry obsessed with image, she chose integrity. In a world built on conformity, she became a rebel with elegance. For years, she disappeared from the headlines. But she was never gone. She was rebuilding, rethinking, preparing for something greater. Because for Jessica Chastain, the fall was never the end. It was the pause before a more powerful beginning. When Hollywood stopped calling, Jessica Chastain started building. She realized that waiting for permission was a luxury she could no longer afford. So, she did what true artists do. She took control of her story. In 2016, she founded Freckle Films, her own production company. The mission was simple but revolutionary: to create films for and by women, stories that mattered. told with truth. Jessica became more than an actress. She became an architect of change. Then came Molly's Game. Playing poker queen Molly Bloom, Jessica delivered one of her fiercest performances. Sharp, layered, unapologetically intelligent. The role reintroduced her to Hollywood, not as a performer desperate for approval, but as a woman in command, and she wasn't done yet. In Scenes from a Marriage, 2021, opposite Oscar Isaac, Jessica shattered every illusion of on-screen perfection. The performances were raw, haunting, and uncomfortably real. Two souls unraveling before the camera. Critics called it emotionally surgical. But her ultimate triumph came with The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Jessica didn't just act. She disappeared. Under layers of prosthetics and heartache, she transformed into the televangelist Tammy Faye Bakker, a woman mocked by many, but understood by few. It was a performance built on empathy, seeing humanity where others saw ridicule. When her name was called at the Academy Awards, she didn't just win an Oscar. She won vindication for every too serious, every too feminist, every too much. Standing on that stage, she said softly, "For anyone out there who feels unseen, you are loved and you are valued." Jessica's redemption wasn't about revenge or proving people wrong. It was about proving that art, when born from conviction, always finds its way back to the light. In an industry built on illusion, Jessica Chastain became a symbol of authenticity. Her legacy isn't measured only by awards or box office numbers. It's written in the quiet revolutions she sparked. Along the way, she proved that an actress could be more than a face on a poster. She could be a producer, an activist, a storyteller, a leader. Through Freckle Films, Jessica has championed female directors, writers, and underrepresented voices, creating spaces where truth, not trend, defines success. Her influence reaches far beyond the screen. She has used her platform to speak about pay equity, LGBTQ+ rights, and mental health, not as a celebrity preaching from a pedestal, but as a human being sharing her scars. Her words remind the world that kindness and strength are not opposites. They are the same force, expressed differently. Younger actresses often call her a compass, someone who made it possible to succeed without surrendering your soul. Her colleagues, from Oscar Isaac to Jessica Lange, describe her as a force of empathy, a master of control and chaos, the rare star who burns bright but never blind. Jessica Chastain's legacy is not about fame. It's about freedom. Freedom to tell the stories that matter. Freedom to be complex, flawed, and real. Freedom to lead without losing grace. And as time moves forward, one truth remains. Jessica didn't just survive Hollywood. She reshaped it. In her image, in her voice, and with her unshakable belief that art can heal as deeply as it can inspire. Away from the flashing lights and red carpets, Jessica Chastain's life moves at a gentler rhythm. In 2017, she married Gianluca Passi de Proposolo, an Italian count whose family has served royalty for centuries. But Jessica never sought titles. She sought peace. Their wedding in Italy was quiet, intimate, surrounded by laughter, not paparazzi. For Jessica, home is not a mansion in Los Angeles. It's wherever love feels simple. She guards her private life fiercely, rarely sharing photos or stories. "Some parts of me," she once said, "belong only to me." Becoming a mother changed everything. She found a deeper understanding of compassion, patience, and purpose. The woman who once chased every role now chooses them carefully, guided by meaning rather than momentum. Between projects, she spends time reading, gardening, and traveling. She supports numerous humanitarian causes, advocating for education, climate awareness, and mental health. Her success has become a tool, not a trophy. When asked what fame has taught her, Jessica answered softly, "Fame doesn't fill you. Love does. Kindness does. Purpose does." There's a serenity to her now, a sense of completion that doesn't come from applause, but from alignment. She no longer strives to be everywhere. She strives to be true. Jessica Chastain has found something Hollywood can't manufacture or destroy: the quiet power of knowing who you are and being enough. Under the shimmering glow of the spotlight, Jessica Chastain stands, not just as an actress, but as a survivor of silence, a warrior of grace. Her story is not about fame gained or fortunes earned. It's about a woman who refused to let the world define her worth. From the small stages of Sacramento to the grand halls of the Oscars, she's walked a path paved with rejection, courage, and relentless faith. She turned pain into empathy, loss into purpose, and doubt into fire. Every role she's played, every tear, every glance, has carried a piece of the girl who once sat in a dark theater and dreamed of living 1,000 lives. Now, the world knows her not for her beauty, but for her depth, not for her fame, but for her integrity, not for the noise she makes, but for the silence she fills with meaning. Jessica Chastain's journey is proof that true power doesn't shout. It glows. It endures. It transforms. Because grace is not the absence of struggle. It's the courage to rise beautifully in spite of it. This is Jessica Chastain, the woman who redefined what it means to be powerful and proved that gentleness can, indeed, move mountains.